This is a big ET Now exclusive. Former Attorney General and Vodafone Idea's lead counsel Mukul Rohatgi only on ET Now. Mr. Rohatgi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for giving your time. A momentous verdict keenly watched out for. You had asked for 15-year timeline. The government had said 20 years for the AGR dues. The Supreme Court has said 10 years. If I could first begin by asking your initial reactions to this verdict, which has been verbally pronounced.
Look, as we had told the court that Vodafone has been through a rough patch in the last 8-10 years and they lost a lot of money. So we required a sufficiently long period of time to recoup our losses and carry on. Vodafone was keen to carry on with its operations in India, and therefore we requested for 15-20 years. But the court, it appears, has given us 10 years, which in the current scenario is not bad. It's definitely okay, but one will have to read the judgment because it has many other issues in it. But my initial reaction is that Vodafone will survive with 10 years and so on.
That was my next question to you, Mr. Rohatgi, because survival has been a big talking point in the markets today. We had seen the Vodafone Idea stock incidentally nosedive 19%. It is now rebounded down by about 10%. You had in the past said Vodafone Idea has made a loss of over 2 lakh crore rupees, that it could lead to shutting down 10,000 people being jobless and inconvenience to 30 crore subscribers. With a 50,000 crore rupee AGR payout, Mr. Rohatgi, you're confident that Vodafone Idea will indeed survive and make good on its payments?
You see, it will survive, and Vodafone is not a fly-by-night operator. It operates in many countries in the world. It has done bona fide business in this country, but for many reasons, including policy of DOT, etc., it has suffered these huge losses. And but the Vodafone sincerely believes that given a proper timeline and proper and sensible policies, and the fact that India is a burgeoning market, it has a large population which requires phones and data, etc. And therefore, it is appropriate that there ought to be 3 players in the market. I mean, it's not advisable to have only 2 players in a huge market like this. So given general as I said, general proper direction, I think we should be able to pull through.
But Mr. Rohatgi, you know, it will be tough, if I could say that. Like I said, you know, a lot of losses incurred in the last 10 years. Perhaps Vodafone Idea will have to go through a massive fundraise as well, and that is why the markets are worried. There's a concept of, you know, wanting a level playing field. You have the new player Jio, where the Supreme Court did ask, why is it not paying, for example, Reliance Communications dues for using its spectrum and infrastructure? Is that fair?
See, I don't want to comment on what the court is asking Jio or not asking Jio. As far as Vodafone is concerned, yes, it has had its problems, but I think it should be able to pull through. And please don't go by reactions of the market. These are knee-jerk reactions. Nobody in the market has studied the judgment. I mean, you have to first study the judgment. It's an important judgment, and then one has to take a calculated view. I have also not studied the judgment. I'm just giving you my initial reaction on 10 years. That's about all. Rest will follow once we read the judgment.
Mr. Rohatgi, I want to ask you one question, which is going forward, what can happen next? Of course, Justice Mishra is demitting office. This verdict, a lot of people have spoken about it. A lot of you have argued against the judgment, even at the Supreme Court. Can it be appealed against at all? In larger public interest as well. What do you see as the way forward?
Yes. Yes, let me tell you, in the Supreme Court, when a judgment is delivered, there is no further appeal because there is no court higher. And there is no intra-court appeal that you must explain to your viewers. But the recourse to a party, if it is aggrieved by a judgment of the Supreme Court, is to apply for a review. The review goes back to the same bench And if one judge has demitted office, then it will be two of the same judges and maybe a third new judge. In a review petition, you can point out some errors which are glaring or apparent on the face of the record, and review can give you some relief. But whether we can review, we should review, ultimately, Nayantara, depends on reading the judgment. I think we should not jump the gun by saying we will do this, we will do that. So let's see what the judgment is. 10 years is definitely reasonable. We will look at it. But let me answer one question which I forgot to answer. You said that it is very tough, etc. But then, well, life is tough, isn't it? And COVID makes it tougher. But if you ask me, in COVID times, people will use data and telephone more. So this industry will not be as impacted as other consumer industries. So I don't think that it will be a great thing.
Okay. And Mr. Rohatgi, of course, the fact that the bank guarantees will be kept alive, we still don't know, right, whether the spectrum can be used as a security. That is something that will have to be decided by the NCLT. And that's something else which is very crucial for the telecom companies. How can they raise debt, for instance, if they can't use the big asset, which is
Nayantara, I cannot comment. I cannot comment in these issues till I see the judgment. Whatever I could comment, I have done. And I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rohatgi, for joining us here on ET Now. That's a big coup of sorts from on ET Now that we've gotten for our viewers. The stock of the day, Vodafone Idea, getting you the lead counsel, and the former Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi only on the channel saying, of course, Vodafone Idea is going to survive. Ideally would have wanted 15 to 20 years to make that AGR payout of 50,000 crore rupees, but 10 years will also do. Business should go only look up with COVID-19 and higher traffic on the Vodafone Idea, and as far as all telecom companies go, waiting for the fine print, of course. We have seen a rebound of sorts also on the Vodafone Idea stock price since the verdict was first pronounced.